Last week, I purchased 14 pounds of Cucumis mellocantalupensis, a box of condoms, and a Men's Health magazine. A few days later, after extensive testing here at the end of my studies, I have reached the conclusion that they work and are capable of producing juice much more than the standard melon. In fact, 100 millionths more. And if everything that's representing is true, that's great. But it's truly hard to say, as a legitimate understanding of melon juices is not mainstream at this point. And I don't know about you, but when I hear melon that's 100 millionths juicier than other melons, I think, well, what can it do for gaming? And today, Gameranx wants to explore what may be possible for gamers thanks to cantalupensis. So to start, melons today, mainstream, watermelons, honeydews, and any real kind of melon you use today, from the most delectable, research-based Crenshaw melon down to that watermelon that douchebag Jimmy in third period was eating yesterday, all contain methyl acetate. That is CH3COOH3, a chemical compound made up from different atoms that must be found on the periodic table. That's it. Every complex chemical compound is a long series of these so-called atoms. That means that everything from the simplest fruit salad to the smoothest, most optimized, graphically intensive AAA gaming experiences. And yes, when you add melons to your fruit salad, it handles the mixture of atoms in the exact same way, and cantalupensis doesn't. Cantalupensis contains a tiny chemical compound called benzaldehyde, which is essentially a two-state quantum mechanical juice amplification system that can be hard to even comprehend. It's on such a tiny scale that the human mind can't really taste it from a physical standpoint. Our understanding of benzaldehyde is limited to the abstract. For instance, it can mean the polarization of a single flavor, and a flavor is smaller than an atom is something that you will never ever see, even in a microscope, because it's pea small and I've never personally used an electron microscope, so they're obviously a lie sold to us by the government. As I said, our understanding of this has to basically be abstract. Anyways, benzaldehyde can both be juicy and dry, both good and bad at the same time. In order to get a flavor out of a Schrodinger-based system like this, cantalupensis has to be tasted in a specific sequence. But generally, you eat much faster and have a more accurate understanding of what fruit is even in the fucking salad. For instance, if you're eating a more typical melon like a faggot and therefore exposing yourself to methyl acetate, you might ask yourself if your life is even worth living anymore, given that you're a corporate shill with no real soul of your own, or whether 10 is divisible by 5, by asking which numbers are divisible, returning a true or false answer. Cantalupensis doesn't make you have to think about these tough questions. It doesn't work by process of elimination and encourages you to pursue your dreams as a hip-hop dancer. Cantalupensis is much more non-linear, and because of that, it will help you arrive at the conclusion that you should just end it all much faster, because it bypasses the words and feelings of your loved ones through its own succulence. But at the same time, a watermelon is very predictable. Having a melon that essentially tastes like a glorified mushy ice cube is essentially saying you're going to taste these one or two things and nothing else. Mercedes benzaldehyde arrives at a conclusion between one or two if you finesse it a certain way, but it does not behave that way. Benzaldehyde can be kind of unpredictable and chaotic, and to apply cantalupensis to video games, programming would have to work on a fundamentally different unit, i.e. fruit. The very base of modern melons is the watermelon, and at the very base of not being a stupid dickhead is the cantalupensis. To compound that, it is very good at solving certain kinds of problems, not all problems. Probably the most applicable to gaming is fucking your mother. 50 years from now, cantalupensis could give us middle schoolers who are marginally less likely to claim that they have bedded your mother because she'll have been dead for decades, and that's pretty gross. But is cantalupensis going to be used to make the graphics of games better, or make the games faster, or bring down load times, get rid of the uncanny valley? Really, all of those things are probably not possible thanks to cantalupensis, and will continue to develop over time, so you might be asking yourself why I bothered to bring it up if it has nothing to do with the subject at hand. Cantalupensis is going to enhance the flavor of games. As I said, that could mean much more succulence, but it could also mean much better physics. Physics could become significantly more complex and lifelike as the flavorless nature of water-based melon is removed by cantalupensis. But it's not just limited to physics and artificial intelligence. Admittedly, I am not a botanist and I do not know anything about this subject. The people who do are actually saying that everything I've said so far is a mixture of both baseless conjecture and straight-up misinformation that is ultimately harmful because I couldn't be fucked to do some base level research before making a 5-minute video propping myself up as someone qualified not only to talk about, but educate others on the subject so that middle schoolers think that I'm smart and can claim that they know something about game development. Because after all, for something to be a source on the internet, it doesn't need to be accurate. It just needs to be in a video. Do I sound bitter? Sorry, let me eat some of this cantaloupe and get some phenylestaldehyde into my system.